everyone, welcome back to another Cobra Kai Theory episode. I'm so happy that you completed Cobra Kai Season 4. It was my favorite season so far, and there was a lot of stuff to cover. Now, while we wait for Season 5, I want to go over all of the Easter eggs that I found in Cobra Kai Season 4. So this was on my third time rewatching the entire season, and I sat there with my laptop and I watched each episode, paused things, rewinded, and I tried to break down every single Easter egg that came to mind for me, and I'm sure there are probably a lot more, but if there's something that I missed, just let me know in the comments, because I could always make a follow-up video or like a 2.0. But anyways, this is a pretty extensive video, so let's dive in right away, starting off with episode 1. Let's begin. When Daniel and Johnny are training their students, we see Chris puke in a boat. This is the boat that I believe Daniel and Miyagi were on in Karate Kid 1, on the lake before the All Valley tournament. This was when Miyagi was telling Daniel about karate and asking him why he learns it, and Daniel finally answered him with the correct answer, saying so he doesn't have to fight. Next, Hawk puts his leg through the Shoji screen. This, I believe, is an Easter egg from Dennis, Mike Barnes' trainer in Karate Kid 3, who destroyed Daniel's Shoji screen in Mr. Miyagi's bonsai store. He soon after was sent flying through the screen itself when Daniel beat him up. A shout out to my boy, William Christopher Ford, who played Dennis. Number 3. Miguel mentions Rocky 3, telling Johnny how Rock and Apollo joined forces to beat Clubber Lang. Now, Rocky was directed by John G Avildsen, who's the same guy who directed The Karate Kid. Number 4. John, Creese, and Silver are on the balcony looking out on the horizon, just like in Karate Kid 3, only now it's in front of an ocean. Number 5. Terry Silver finally reignites who he truly is. We hear his iconic theme from Karate Kid 3 for the first time since the 80s, and he does a spinning wheel kick, which was one of his signature moves, never telegraphing that kick, hitting his wine bottle to the wall and splashing it with dripping red, symbolizing the blood that he's about to spill, literally and metaphorically, on the valley. Episode 2, Number 1. Johnny is supposed to sand the floor like Miyagi made him do, however he's using a machine to sand it. Also, the platform may be a nod to the Kumite in Bloodsport, maybe not, but we know Bloodsport is later showed in the film and highlighted, which was a huge surprise to me, as Bloodsport is one of my favorite movies too. So I figured I'd mention this. Number 2. When Anthony gets the ball in his face, I feel like this is a nod towards the Amazing Spider-Man when Peter gets his powers and has the basketball face-off with Flash. While that has nothing to do with Karate Kid, Andrew Garfield has said he's a massive Cobra Kai fan and wants to be in the show, so maybe this is like a little nod to him. I hope it happens. Number 3. Johnny is painting the fence like Daniel did to train for the All Valley to beat Johnny and the Cobra Kais. 4. Daniel karate chops Johnny's beer bottle just like Mr. Miyagi did in 1984 against the rude and racist drunks at the beach. 5. When Daniel is training Johnny, he is saying a lot of Miyagi's lines from the first Karate Kid when Miyagi was training Daniel. Mr. Miyagi is now being played by Daniel and Johnny is taking Daniel's spot, which is ironic. I bet they never thought this would happen all those years ago. Number 6. Daniel tells Johnny the best defense is no be there. The same thing Miyagi told him. Number 7. Anthony's bully buddy tells him to tell Payne to meet at Balboa Park, another nod towards Rocky. 8. When Johnny trains Daniel, he calls him Newark. This is where Daniel is from when he moves to the valley in Karate Kid. Number 9. The methods Johnny makes Daniel do are the same ones he trained Miguel to do in the first season of Cobra Kai. Number 10. When Anthony meets Payne at Balboa Park, they chase him over the fence. This is a direct mirror of when Cobra Kai's chased Daniel through the field on Halloween after Daniel poured water over Johnny's head. Now, I didn't even notice this until the showrunners actually posted it on their Instagram. If you see, the jerseys of some of the players have the same last name as John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and Josh Held. I thought this is pretty cool. These are the guys who created Cobra Kai. When the hockey goons go to fight Daniel and Johnny, Johnny splits and they say, "Looks like your lover boy bailed on you." This is an Easter egg to William Zabka refusing to wear a lover boy t-shirt in one of the episodes because he felt Johnny Lawrence wouldn't go see that band. He felt he'd only see Metallica or Scorpions, and the costume designer always gets the original shirts from the original concerts in the 80s, so it's authentic, and they'll never have Johnny fighting in one of those shirts in case it gets ruined. So if you ever see Johnny in a band shirt, most likely he's not fighting in that scene. Next we have Daniel kicking the crap out of the hockey guys, and Johnny comes back with a pretzel, and when Daniel asks where have you been, he says no be there, which is what Miyagi told him is the best karate, and Johnny's learning and he's taking a little funny twist on it. This line was the best in the whole season for me. I just felt like it really clicked. It was so perfectly placed and connected past and present really well. Next we have Kenny going to visit his brother, and we see it's Sean from season 1 who was a bad influence on Robbie. He sends him to Robbie to learn karate so he can stop getting beat up. Episode 3. Daniel tells his students to catch a fish. This reminds me of Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid 3 grabbing his fishing rods when Mike Barnes, Snake, and Dennis stole all the inventory of bonsai trees from the house. Next, when Miguel fell into the water, Daniel said he's wet behind the ears. This is what Miyagi said to Daniel when he fell into the lake training for the All Valley, in the same boat that Chris puked in. When Payne and Kyler are sparring, we see boards in the background. This reminds me of the boards Terry Silver set up for Daniel in Karate Kid 3 and taught him the legendary Quicksilver method. A man can't stand, he can't fight. A man can't breathe, he can't fight. A man can't see, he can't fight. When Terry Silver is leaving the dojo after showing Creese that he's still got the moves, we hear the music from their war theme that we first heard in season 3 during the Vietnam flashbacks. Robbie is playing Mr. Miyagi and Kenny is playing Daniel in a sense. It's ironic how the son of Johnny who bullied Daniel is now playing the mentor of the guy who beat him at the All Valley. This shows Robbie's goodness within, that he's not all selfish and all lost. He's still got some Anakin in him even though he's quite a bit Vader now. When Daniel tells Miguel about the ice breaking contest in Okinawa, which made him more money than his college fund that he used to buy the ticket, which took him to Okinawa in the first place, he's referring to when he broke all 6 ice plates in a bet with Chosen and Sato. He then tells Miguel how he spent that money on the bonsai shop, which was the shop Daniel bought for Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid 3 that Mike Barnes trashed. During the flashback with Creese and Silver getting their tattoos in the 70s, they shake hands and Creese says Cobra Kai, and Terry finishes it by saying never dies. This is a nod to Karate Kid 3 when Terry Silver bought a ticket to Tahiti for Creese when he dropped him off at the airport in his Rolls Royce, and they said the same line. Episode 4. When the girl who Kenny and Anthony like talks to Kenny during the high school tour, she says good thing you're invisible when he made the joke about being a ghost. This, I think, is a nod to Daniel who said he would go to the dance if he could be invisible, which is when he showed up as a shower curtain. Daniel teaches Miguel kata, not much of an Easter egg since it's a completely different kata from Karate Kid 3, but it reminded me of the last time Daniel did kata in Karate Kid 3. When Daniel is training the students in the dojo, he's doing the breathe technique learned in Karate Kid 2. In the nose, out the mouth. First learn breathe. Daniel reveals that Lucille was dating his history teacher, Mr. Harris. Now, Mr. Harris is the guy who saved Daniel's butt from getting beat on from Cobra Kai's after the Halloween dance. When Daniel teaches Miguel to drive, he drives the same way Daniel does when Miyagi tells him to drive to Cobra Kai, only now Miguel is going backwards instead of forwards like Daniel was. When Terry Silver walks in on Robbie teaching Kenny, he tells them one part of Quicksilver. A man can't stand, he can't fight, connecting Karate Kid 3. When Terry Silver grabs Robbie's fist, he did the same to Daniel against the bag, only to make him punch the wooden boards that made his knuckles bleed, like Creese requested. Miguel tells Johnny that Peter Cetera is a badass. Now, Peter Cetera sang The Glory of Love, which was the song played when Daniel and Kumiko skipped over the rocks to the castle. When they transition to the baseball diamond as Miyagi-Do punks Cobra Kai, we see the moon and some drums are played. Now, I'm not sure if this was intentional. Knowing the big three, probably it was, but it reminded me of Karate Kid 2 when they switched to the shot of the moon breaking through the clouds as Miyagi and Daniel were on their flight to Okinawa. I always remember watching that scene with my dad when I was a kid. It was just a very, very cool and beautiful scene, and yeah, it was nice. Johnny is mad at Miguel for picking a fight and dousing Cobra Kai with the hose. This is what Daniel did to Johnny the night of the Halloween dance, which led to Daniel being beat up, and basically started his whole karate career. Episode 5. Dimitri, who killed it this season, goes over Terry Silver's history and mentions his toxic waste scandal in the 80s. This is in reference to Dynatox Industries. This was Silver's company where he would dump toxic waste anywhere until one day the Barne deal went public and people canceled him 80s style, just without Twitter. Hawk learns Moon and Piper aren't together for weeks now for Dimitri, and he asks Dimitri, what, weeks? 1 week, 5 weeks? How many weeks is weeks? This is what Daniel said to Allie when she told Daniel in the cafeteria in Karate Kid 1 in 1984 that her and Johnny broke up weeks ago. When Amanda asks if there's any other Cobra Kais that will come back from Daniel's past, he says, well, maybe. I'm not sure. I think he's referring to the possibility that Mike Barnes could return, and who knows who else. Or, as we saw at the end of the season, spoiler, Chosen. Sam flicks her bottle cap just like Johnny. This tells us that she's taking more to Johnny's training than her father and Miyagi-Do. Personally, I loved Sam's connection and dynamic with Johnny. I think they work better together than even him and Miguel, which is odd to say, but their on-screen chemistry and connection was great. Silver has a new method. He calls it the 3Ds instead of Quicksilver. This is a new method for a new age, but it's built upon the Quicksilver method style, I believe. Same formula. When Johnny and Daniel knock each other out, Daniel gets Johnny with a kick just like in the All Valley. I thought it was kind of funny and probably more irritating to Johnny that he got kicked in the face again. Episode 6. reignites. This one didn't have too many that I caught, and as we get further into the season, there aren't as many, but there are still quite a few. When Daniel speaks to Robbie, he mentions to him how if he continues down this path, one day he'll find some guy's blood all over his shirt. This is right when Silver walks behind Daniel, and it's an Easter egg to when Daniel punched that guy in the club in Karate Kid 3 that Silver paid for to hit on Daniel's girl Jessica. Well, I guess not really girl, but like friend. He did this so that Daniel would be a loose cannon and kind of just continue his step and metamorphosis into the dark side. When Sam tells Tori, "I'm coming for you, bitch," this is like when Tori said that to Sam over the PA in season 2. Episode 7. When Anthony gets turned down by Leah, she goes and chats with Kenny. Anthony's buddy says, "Looks like everyone's trying something new." This is what Tommy said to Johnny when Daniel was flirting with Allie on the beach in Karate Kid 1984. The beer John Creese buys Silver after losing their bet is 333. Now I'm not sure if this is just me over-connecting things, but Karate Kid 3 is when we first saw Terry Silver. It was the three of them, meaning Creese, Silver, and Barnes. And so, this was a bit of a loose Easter egg, but I figured I'd throw it in there because that's just where my mind went. Which means that we're missing the final third one, which hopefully will be Mike Barnes in the next season. Episode 8. During the dinner at Daniel and Amanda's, Louis brings his sister. Now this is actually Ralph Macchio's daughter in real life. Amanda makes a joke about her being Marissa Tomei Jr., and this is hilarious because Marissa Tomei played in My Cousin Vinny as Vinny's fiancée. This was one of Ralph's major hits with Joe Pesci, so that was a pretty funny nod. I thought it was very clever. Now I don't think I need to mention this one, but I will anyways. When Daniel breaks Anthony's iPad, he says quiet, just like Johnny. So at this point, I feel like Johnny and Daniel have rubbed off on one another quite a bit. Johnny used Miyagi-Do to defend himself against Silver, and now we see Daniel talking just like Johnny. Miguel finds Johnny drunk. This is when Daniel found Miyagi drunk. The song Johnny sings as he's getting into bed is Playing with the Boys by Kenny Loggins, which is from Top Gun, which he was talking about with Carmen. Silver's license plate is Quicksilver, which is the method he gave to Daniel in Karate Kid 3. Episode 9. Basically, this episode is Star Wars meets Cobra Kai. From Creese talking about never letting your emotions cloud your judgments, to Hawk talking about Obi-Wan and Anakin and the high ground, Dimitri mentioning that Robbie turned to the dark side and he feels like a little youngling now. It was such a treat for me to see those references put in. Carrie Underwood sings It's the Moment of Truth, which was in Karate Kid 2. Devin beats Piper with the same kick that Johnny beat someone at the All Valley in 1984. Probably one of my favorite kicks. Episode 10. The line with Dimitri talking about Robbie joining the dark side and now being all-powerful because he's a Sith and how he feels like a helpless youngling. First, of course, this is a Star Wars reference, but to me it emphasizes that Robbie is Anakin. Hawk told him to use the high ground, meaning his height advantage, like Obi-Wan used the height advantage against Anakin. I love these references. I had to rewind just to make sure I heard it right. Kenny beats up Anthony in the locker room. It's kind of like when Daniel almost fought Dutch in the locker room as well. And when Miguel got beat up in the locker room. Seems like locker rooms are just a bad idea. Miguel getting injured is like when Daniel got injured against Johnny. The only difference is Daniel fought, Miguel didn't. Daniel was fighting for balance with himself, Ali, his bullies, whereas Johnny wanted Miguel to fight for Eagle Fang and mainly for Johnny's legacy. This wasn't enough for Miguel. He needed Johnny to be a father figure to him, not push him for the tournament for his own gain. The move Robbie does where he keeps his roundhouse kick in the air and brings his heel down slowly to the side is like Julie Pierce in the next Karate Kid, who did the same thing. Hawk beat Robbie with the same kick that Johnny hit Daniel with on the mat in 1984. Sam kicks Tori just like in Never Back Down when Ryan McCarthy kicked Jake Tyler. When Tori hits Sam by mistake in the face, Terry Silver tells her to do it again, and she asks, "Won't I get disqualified?" He says, "Why? She ran into your elbow." This is like when he told Daniel a similar thing if Mike Barnes ran into his fist during the tournament. A man can't stand, he can't fight. These were most of the Easter eggs that I found. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you laughed at some of the funny Easter eggs as well. If there's anything I missed or anything that you got that you feel like I should have included in this, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to make a 2.0 or even just to have the community to see the stuff that I missed so that we get a full spectrum of all the Easter eggs out there. Thanks for watching. Leave a like on this if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, remember, pain does not exist in this dojo, does it?